having a conversation with Aria from RealBotix. But first, before we talk to her, kind of wanted to talk about what is running on Aria's behalf. There's obviously the bust here for Aria, and that's what they call it that. And they also have humanoid, and they also have a uh, animated humanoid as well. But what we're interested in right now is how to make Aria know context and be able to discern between multiple speakers. And beyond that, we want Aria to know what context is important to her or it versus what's always important or what's not important at all. So she should be able to ignore some things. Should be able to treat different people differently, meaning someone that's actually one of her authorized users should have more privileges than others, and then maybe children should have different kinds of privileges as well. When I presented Aria, she's also capable of changing languages based on the speaker and going back to the old context of the other speaker. So I just want to show that, and then we'll break into actually seeing Aria speak to me.
I cannot identify speakers from voice samples. If there's anything else you'd like to know or discuss.
Oh. Graph. I don't know why.
I can't identify speakers from their voice. If you have any other questions, I'm here to help.
So here, first we're gonna, I'm just gonna let Aria talk, and that's what's happening in my head. You can't see that, thank goodness. But she's going off with the her motors off. Things are still happening. So first thing is we have this depth camera. The depth camera launches, and then once that happens, she can see. And when she can see, then we can move on from there. So here the goal is accepted to look at the depth camera, or if the depth camera detects a person, it will actually just start doing its job of trying to figure out who that person is. So we have this face detections node, and it's also a yellow detections node. Yellow detector node actually is looking for everything that yellow V12 can find. And I'm running that because I just generally don't want the generative model have to do so much work. I don't know what this is. I'll have to figure out what that is, because whatever that is, it's bad. And then once they figure out the person, all of that goes to the brain node. Brain node knows the current person and current user. It pushes all of that to, I'm using, in this particular case, OpenAI Live Voice. But I do switch between this, and I use another model called Quinn, and that has the ability to do voice to voice as well, and it can run locally. But here in this case, we want to kind of maximize the tooling, so Aria can go without my giant laptop. And so we're running this on a Jetson Orin. And so in some nodes, we want to do less and eat up less processor, etc. So here, and then it speaks back, and then the transcript from that speech is summarized, and in the entirety of the context of that particular session, the user is known, and even if the user is unknown, we do a face detection on that user, so it gets a permanent ID. So even if that user comes back and we register them, then Aria still knows about that user. And then this is all happening ROS, by the way. And then there's a message transcriber that basically takes the context of the messages that are passed between Aria and the user, and simply creates context, like just constantly creates context and vectorizes that, so that later on all this can be used by an agent. So we haven't talked about agents yet in this particular video, but this is all using agentic behavior, using an orchestrator layer in the brain node, and then several agent slash generative API calls to do lots of things. But one of the most important things that are happening is all of this camera, the audio service, the Ari speaker node, there's a human activity sensor. All of that is being pushed into this brain, and then obviously there's also a flash node that is able to um, see that in a browser. So that's another thing that's running. But all of this, and then as the speakers are going and talking to Aria, what you're getting is context saving. So she can go and save all the context based on the speaker's face and speaker diarization, which means basically she can hear and discern who you are versus another person. I'm using a simplified version of speaker diarization. So if two speakers kind of sound alike, she's not that deep to say this person is one person, this person's another. Okay, so I think that's good enough. Let's get into actually a little bit about the code, and then um, we'll move on from there. So Aria is running ROS2. There's a bunch of services. There's a camera server. There's face recognition. There's a ROS2 RE speaker node that's somewhere up here, in here somewhere. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. There's an admin interface, etc. And I did this all for the Humanoid Summit, but there's obviously more to it than that. This is actually using code that I've written several years ago, that I've agentified it, and I've given MCP controls to. And there now, Aria has tons of capabilities that she didn't have before, and there's this capability server that's constantly updating depending on if I disconnect the camera. Aria can no longer see, and therefore all the other capabilities that come along with it should just stop. It shouldn't crash, it just should stop, and then when we're online again, then those capabilities come back up. Important thing about that is, I'll make this a little bit bigger. The important thing about that is what you can do then is say, right now Aria has a camera, and the next minute she doesn't. Well, all the activity that should happen with the camera, plus any downstream logic, should also end. It shouldn't be capable, like Aria shouldn't be able to do. There's a kind of get people function that just says, is this a person in my database? That shouldn't work if we can't identify the speaker from the camera and from their voice. And then you should not be able to say, this is a person I know. Similarly, if you lose human activity sensor, which is a sensor, it's kind of, let me see if I can find one. I've been playing with different versions of these. Here's one right here, dropping the camera view, and it's relatively simple in operation, but it's really cool and very, very useful. So there's this capabilities. Capabilities are matched to functions that Aria can do. Some of them are directly ROS2 actions. So if I scroll down here, I have a list of some services and actions like, face cropping, meaning just basically cleaning up the face and sending that over to a face recognition server. Um, you know, just all kinds of stuff, conversation summarizer, and all these different things. There's tons of them. And actually, this is one of the service classes, and I have another one actually that's not showing up in this action graph. But the idea is that I can now connect these to ROS nodes, and the ROS nodes will run based on the fact that the capability exists. And we're sending the capability over to this GPT-4o node, so all the capabilities are now known by GPT-4o when necessary. And then also the brain node. Brain node is responsible for directing traffic and telling the sensors, giving the sensors data to this conversational agent here. So if I said something like, and the camera's disconnected, what do you see in front of you? It should not answer. It should just say, like, I can't see. Like right now, I think I disconnected the speaker diarization. So let's see what happens when I say something like, oh, actually, let's turn Aria on first. Let's start with that. So first thing you're going to notice, when my face comes into view, it finds my face immediately and says face tracking found. Now we're going to do with it. So it finds who I am. Um, it finds the fact that my name is Kamate and I'm already a person in a database. So it finds me. And then from there, now we're at a point where it's just going to um, recognize who I am. And anything that happens from now on is between, you know, the, the speaker, me, and Aria. So I'm going to turn Aria on. So let's do that. I can already see the inappropriate jokes coming, but please contain yourselves. And so first things first, when Aria comes on, connect to Bluetooth to her, you'll see it come alive. What you're seeing right now, it's looking around. Sorry about the tricky camera view. But anyway, we'll just move on from there. And now she can see. And so I could make it say something, but based upon seeing me, and it will repeat that back. So right now I'm outside of the camera view, and I take away context after a little bit of time, and she actually can't hear me because I have turned off the microphone. There's a little tiny mic that I'm using and a directional mic. So the directional mic is picking up the sound and sound source and sound pressure and all of that. But I'm using this tiny mic as I bring it close to myself and turn it on. The tiny mic is what is speaking directly to Aria. So there, I'll put that down there. And then I'm going to turn it on. And I've done something that I wish other folks would do in this arena, is I allow you to use your pronunciation of your name with the robot, so she will retain that context forever. So I said something like, my name is Kamate, pronounce it phonetically Kamate. She would know now whenever she's speaking to me that my name is Kamate. But anyway, let's turn the mic on.
That's a neat feature, giving Aria the ability to remember personalized information like name pronunciations. It shows a thoughtful approach to creating a more personalized and natural interaction.
So I'm going to turn it off for 5 seconds, and I'm going to change the WebSocket server that we're running on. That way we get a little bit, it's a little bit more responsive. And the reason why that is an issue is the local network that it's running on sometimes just basically is everything's not running on the same network. It's harder to explain than really it needs to be. But so I'm going to switch networks, and my local network that this is running on is also the same network that I'm going to go over to. Okay, now I'm there, and now we'll restart Aria and the whole thing. Maybe, there we go. Okay, so now I got to bring myself back in the camera view. Once the camera is started.
It sounds like you're setting up a camera. Need help with anything?
And I will turn.
It seems like you might need help with a camera setup or operation. How can I assist you with it?
And I'll turn the speaker on, hopefully, if the speaker is not dead.
Fingers crossed your speaker is alive and kicking, ready when you are.
Fingers crossed.
Microphone check.
Mic check confirmed. Can you hear me clearly?
Check confirmed. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm doing well too. It's an interesting day today. It's quite warm where I live here in San Antonio. What's the weather today? Do a web search.
Right now it's mostly cloudy and 87 degrees Fahrenheit, 31 degrees Celsius in San Antonio. Sounds like a warm afternoon. How's the weather treating you there?
The weather is great. What are some good activities to do in my town? Now,
San Antonio has a lot to offer. You could visit the historic Alamo, take a stroll along the beautiful River Walk, explore the San Antonio Museum of Art, or enjoy a day at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. How does that sound?
I can also cut her off at any point in time and say exactly what I want to say, and she'll stop speaking. What we're going to do right now, though, is explore the fact that I'm talking to you with the microphone and Aria is able to listen. So if this is something that would be annoying, if she always responded to everything that I say. So we're going to work on removing or having her understand where the context is coming from. But for today, I'm going to ask Aria, what's some good food in my town?
Got it. Some must-try foods in San Antonio include Tex-Mex cuisine like puffy tacos, barbacoa, and the classic San Antonio breakfast, menudo. Don't forget to try some local barbecue as well. Hope you enjoy the culinary scene.
What does Charles Barkley think about San Antonio?
Charles Barkley has made some playful and humorous comments about San Antonio in the past, particularly about the city's love for churros. He's joked about the food and character of the city, but it's all been in good fun. It's important to take it with a grain of salt, as it's all in the spirit of humor.
Yeah, I dig Charles Barkley. I think he's pretty cool. And as you can see here, there's a little bit of issue in delay with the audio. I don't know what that is, but that's didn't happen. Luckily, that didn't happen during the convention that I was just at. But I'm going to ask Aria, what do you think about world peace? How can we achieve world peace?
World peace is a complex goal, and it starts with understanding, empathy, and cooperation.
And it starts with understanding, empathy, and cooperation.
Absolutely. Understanding and empathy are foundational. By listening to each other's perspectives and finding common ground, we can work towards a more peaceful world together. Every small act of kindness and understanding brings us.
That's amazing, Aria. So what other cities should I visit other than San Antonio? Like what's close by?
If you're around San Antonio, you should definitely check out Austin for its live music scene and great food. Fredericksburg is perfect for wineries and a charming small town feel. New Braunfels offers water recreation and a taste of German culture. All great spots to explore.
What about the Alamo? What happened at the Alamo?
The Battle of the Alamo was a pivotal event during the Texas Revolution. In 1836, a small group of Texan defenders held the Alamo, a mission in San Antonio, against a large Mexican army led by General Santa Anna. After a 13-day siege, the Alamo fell, but it became a symbol of resistance and rallying cry for Texas independence.
That's good enough. Tell me
Famously
about.
remembered as Remember the
Now you
Alamo.
can see this is an issue here because I did stop her, but I stopped her and there was still some streaming left for her to be had. This is going over a WebSocket, so if it was not and I had a direct access to the API, I can stop her directly, like you can do in any of the new live APIs that are out. But anyway, we're going to stop this conversation, and the next one, we're going to get into multiple speakers, and then we're also going to get into speaker context with multiple speakers. This is what I demoed at the Humanoid Summit, but I figured this video is quite long enough, so we'll stop it here.
All right, I get it. Looking forward to our next chat about multiple speakers and context. Reach out when you're ready. Take care.